Okay. I think we're going live. I think it's happening. Yeah, it's on air. Should be there. I think we're there. This is happening.
Woohoo! Yay!
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. My name's Dave Adams, and welcome to, well, not just Nerds of Wisdom, but a few of us. So I'll ask people to go around and introduce themselves. Why don't you go first, Ange, considering you're the next on the little screen that I've got.
All right. My name's Angela, and on YouTube I am Nerfenstein, aka Girly Gamer. Is that okay?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're also joined in the other room with Tracy, is that right?
Yeah, hello, I'm Tracy. I'm here by default, I think. So don't expect anything awesome, but you can follow me on Twitter at GadgetGirlTracy.
I've been following a whole bunch of conventions and things you've been doing. You seem to be doing quite a lot at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I feel like my other hat is like an event hat right now, actually. So yeah, it's been pretty busy work-wise with events and stuff. But yeah, I get out and about, do a bit of chatting, meet the people, you know.
Meet the people.
Everything I hate.
Everything Angela detests.
Excellent. And Paul, why don't you say hello?
G'day, my name's Paul Adams. I'm on YouTube. Actually, I run a YouTube channel which is talking about business stuff for artists because I'm an actor and a producer. So you can find me at The Business of Art by Paul Adams.
I did not
and
know
Paul,
that.
just to clarify something, last time we did a hangout, Ange messaged me the next day and said, "Is that your brother?" I was like, "Oh, did I not mention that?" Yes, you are my brother.
You look a lot alike. Yeah.
Yes, well, all I can say is between the smarts and the looks, I'm still waiting for one of them. So nice. So Avengers End Game is what we're here to discuss. I'll try and share my screen and throw up. This always goes well to check the screen sharing. It always looks
Especially
great because
growing up.
Gosh, I look huge. I should have done something awesome.
Excellent. We'll quickly go through what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to start with having a quick talk about money because I think money is one of the big news items for today, at least anyway. We'll talk about the movie's opening, go through some of the characters. I thought characters might be the easiest way to talk about the film, but we'll probably weave in and out between plot and character and one character and another. It's not like we're going to go sequentially necessarily. We're just going to try and cover as many of these topics as we can. So obviously Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Thor, Hulk, all the main the sort of story leading cast. Oh, spoilers.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
I won't forget. I should have mentioned spoilers. It is in the title. If you watch this and you haven't seen it, good luck. You're going to actually hear a lot about the film. I would turn off now and come back later. But yeah, if you don't want spoilers, turn off now.
If you've already read the list, you might be screwed already.
This is true.
Oops.
No, there's there's a little bit of spoilers here. Captain Marvel, Loki's
this film.
None whatsoever. Obviously, time travel and alternate realities, end battles, Easter eggs, overall thoughts, and fan theories. I am my computer has been absolute buzzed with those.
Sorry. I need to message someone.
Oh, really? So money. This looks like it's going to be it's set off to be the biggest. It looks like it's going to rank number 1 in the list of movies at the moment for raking in the biggest income internationally. I think over the weekend it grossed just over $1.25 billion.
Yeah, crazy.
Is that right?
Yeah,
that's nuts. My understanding is if you currently does anyone know who holds number 1 right now? Is that Infinity War or?
Oh, is it another Marvel movie?
It probably is.
Up there.
Yeah, Avatar and Titanic are definitely in the top 10.
Yeah.
But I can't remember which one it might be. I think Infinity War did really well. But this has just smashed it. This is smashed the
Black
weekend one.
Panther grossed just over $1 billion on opening as well, so it's up there as well.
Oh wow. Wow, yeah, that's huge for, especially for that film. That sort of came out of nowhere, Black Panther, in terms of what it made. I think it even surprised Marvel, because I'm pretty sure they would have written a bigger part for him in Infinity War, and if they'd thought about it, if they'd realised.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is I think if you adjust for inflation, I think the biggest movie of all time, and I'm taking this from beyond the trailer, is Gone with the Wind.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
So I think we've got to reach just over 4 billion in its entire run for it to actually beat that based on inflation. I know, Gone with the Wind.
I know. I kind of feel like it would be
What were
sad
people
if it beat Gone with the Wind.
I
though.
know, such a long time. 1939 is a long time to hold that
Yeah.
title.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really
and
long.
you knew the date off the top of your head there, Tracy.
Boom. Just like that. It's the only reason I know this. So it's not really that impressive when I actually tell you. But my favorite movie was made in 1939, which is The Wizard of Oz, and it went up against Gone with the Wind at the Oscars and lost horribly, of course.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I know 1939.
Is there any other way to lose?
I know. I was like, it's a fair game, I think, to lose to Gone with the Wind. So,
Yeah.
I think the only thing that would have made that better was if they'd had actually announced The Wizard of Oz as the winner and then said, oh no, hang on, we got it wrong. It's
Oh, God. That would have been awesome. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but of course that tradition didn't start until a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're doing that regularly now.
Yeah.
As well, I thought it was just worth to mention that this is clearly money-wise. I think some of the reports have said that people, like cinemas, were booked out a whole week in it, like a whole week of films of everyday showings was booked out for some of those. So coming into the week, people had booked up. You know, they booked Monday to Wednesday to the following Wednesday. So I think it sort of says something about the nature of the film and what it means to people. Did you think that Infinity War would really set it up like this, or?
For me personally, I actually think it's because it's the 22nd film in a legacy of films. I think that plays a big part of it. That build up, that anticipation for something that, you know, is coming to a close after, 10 years. That helps. What was the last DC movie that had an opening like that? No, but
We'll let you know when it happens.
Oh.
but
I think
for
Batman and
me,
Superman.
From the marketing point of view, I think that a big part of this comes through that anticipation that's been built up, not just since the first Infinity War, but because that this is, it felt like it was the end of a legacy, and that coming to a close of something that's been going for 10 years.
Yeah.
So that's a massive deal. You've got people literally over 2 generations now. 10 years is the span of 2 generations who have been caught up in this universe, and so it's just great.
I think the really cool thing as well is that what Marvel do really well, obviously, is the teasers at the end of the credits. And so as soon as you saw that, you were just like, oh my God, like you're immediately hooked back in. So they just did that so well throughout the entire series that the anticipation was building every time. And it reminded you really quickly of, oh my God, there's another one coming out. And that's why, and this is going to be a spoiler, at the end of this one, it was kind of sad. It was a bit sad at the end of this one, because you're just like, where's it going to be? Where's the end credit? And then it was just a little audio piece. So it was a bit like sad, like you say, it was the end of an era, really.
Yeah, I almost feel the fact that they didn't have it in scene, like we're sort of discussing it while we're sitting in the theater, actually, as the credits were rolling, because that gave us a good 30 minutes to discuss it. But we were sitting there going, is there going to be one? Is there not going to be one? I think we sort of thought maybe they would tease Spider-Man or what the next franchise is, but at most, I know one of my mates, Ricky, was pretty much saying why would they need to? And when you think about it, they sort of set up a lot of the next phase of the MCU through the last couple of hours of the film. Really is about some of it's setting up. All right. I think the first hour. Oh dear. Well, yeah, but like they set up a lot. They do set up a lot, and yet you kind of go, well, they've done so much setting up. It maybe was nice to have just that little soundbite at the end. Which, does anyone have any theories on that? I mean, the predominant one I think I've heard is that it's Iron Man doing his suit from Iron Man 1.
Yeah, I read that as well.
That's what I've heard as well.
Yeah, I went back off and looked at the thing, and it does sound like the same sound. I was hoping maybe it was someone building the next Iron Man suit, sort of hinting that someone was going to take over. But don't know.
Well, it'd be interesting to see where that goes, because in the comics, a couple of different people become Iron Man, don't they?
Mm.
Throwing that question in the room. I don't know the
that's right.
very well, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Is that true?
Yeah. The big one is Riri Williams takes over as Iron Man after a while. Iron Man dies in one comic book and comes back as a hologram, which has people speculating that they could still bring Robert Downey back as a hologram at times, just as sort of a pop up in future films. But Riri Williams of late has been doing it, which has people speculating that, considering Riri Williams was a Black African female, it might actually be Black Panther's sister that takes over the role. She's got the tech, she's got the know-how.
She's brilliant. She's a great character.
Really?
I like her.
Go on. Yeah. Go on. I didn't take to her
At all.
So I'm keen to hear other people's opinion.
She got spunk.
Yeah, but that's all she's got, isn't it? Like, isn't she just spunk?
No,
well, she's smart.
I think, yeah.
I cannot comment. I have not seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Controversial. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, is it controversial? I don't know. I don't know if that's controversial, but all I know is some people love it, some people couldn't care less. I mean, as long as they tell good stories, what do I care?
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's probably just as qualified as probably a few others, but she's probably really sitting in a nice position to take over the role. I think it might be a good addition to the franchise. I can't see why not. So, and obviously, if that's got you excited, well, then I'm probably keen to see something like that happen, really.
Anything's better than Paltrow doing it, right?
Who?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth.
Oh, I mean, that was a nice addition, though. I thought seeing Pepper Potts as rescue was I was excited by that. Did you not? Did no one else get excited by seeing Pepper Potts in the suit?
No.
Oh.
Whoa, cut down.
I will tonight. Spoilers.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was a nice. I
no,
thought it was nice.
I did like it.
Yeah.
I did like that she turned up in the suit. I think it was great that, after everything that she's watched happen, that they let her actually get involved in something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was an emotional touch, which I thought was nice.
Paltrow, though.
I've got
Not a fan.
I've got people making some people in the comments got excited by seeing Pepper in the suit. I think for me it was just nice to have that link there from the comics, because in the comics Pepper bails out Tony on a number of occasions. Ordinarily in the comics she's just all about rescue, like she's all about helping out and sort of saving his life, but she doesn't really have a lot of tech for fighting, which is a little bit different to the film version, but that's all right. In terms of the story arc, are you happy with? I mean, Iron Man's really first up for discussing things, and we'll sort of come back to the opening itself. But everyone happy with the Iron Man storyline?
I'm scared to talk. I don't want to cut anyone else off. Yeah, I think it was great. What a fitting end to such a hero. And I'm not a huge Iron Man fan, but I must say I did well up. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, between him and Cap, I think there was always speculation that one of them was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of hoping that, you know, I kind of felt that he was going to die, but I was sort of maybe hoping that he could go on and live a life, but no. Oh well.
The ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, once he had a kid, I knew he was gone. That was. I saw Morgan.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, there it goes. Actually, I'd say I thought that was one of the best plot device, one of the nice plot devices in the film was the inclusion of Morgan, because I thought, well, I think like a lot of people, I thought time travel was going to be a key part of the story, but I thought, because I mean, you got a time stone, so clicking people out of existence isn't that big a deal if you can get a hold of the time stone, just however they do it. But the way they went around it was not something that I speculated on. Like a few other people I did talk to a few other people who speculated the quantum zone. Was that it? Quantum zone?
Quantum realm?
Quantum realm? Yes. Yeah. I mean, you have to see the I think for me, the best part is the references throughout all of the different storylines pulling together is going to force people to go back and watch some of those less popular. I mean, Thor 2. Who wants to go back and watch Thor 2? But now you have to because, you know, guess what? Half the story hinges on it. So, yeah, it was. I thought him and Cap had a really nice conclusion to their stories.
Yeah.
It was one of the nicer parts for me. And I was. What do you guys think?
I thought it was a nice conclusion. I've been a little bit frustrated with the focus on Iron Man through a lot of the Marvel films, particularly the Avengers. I mean, I know he's the guy with all the tech, but, you know, Cap is a much better leader. There's so much other stuff that can be played on. I get a bit frustrated always seeing him get pushed to the front. And the thing that frustrated me a lot in this film was actually the fact that, you know, he gets pulled out of space, and one of the first things he does is he flips out at Captain America about the fact that Cap wasn't there. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, dude, they were fighting as well. You know, that particular device of causing that angst, it just felt so unreal to me. It just didn't feel right. I didn't enjoy that. It just made no sense to me. I understand that he was frustrated at the fact that nobody listened when he said we need a shield around the world. All of that kind of stuff. Totally believe that. Be frustrated at that. Be frustrated that no one listened. But don't be frustrated at the guy that fought by your side despite the little spat you had in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
I think that's a fair point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's so petty, though, Iron Man. You know, he's so whiny. It just annoys me. He annoys me. I just find him to be so whiny. Like, I like his sarcasm, but sometimes I'm like, okay, suck it up, buddy. Like, it's time to get past that issue. And I felt like that. Yeah, you're right. I think it was a bit, it sort of overcast some of the other cool stuff that he could have been doing, for me anyway. But Captain America, whole other thing. Bloody loved that storyline. It was so good. So good. And I'm not going to jump in because I know that Angela's going to talk about this, I'm sure, because she's been waiting on this happening forever. So I will lead. That is a segue to you talking about Captain America.
Oh, guys, I'm so happy. I'm not going to lie. I did a little jig in my chair when I knew he was going to get that dance and that kiss. Maybe it's the romantic in me. I don't know. But I've been waiting on that happening. Like, I love Agent Carter, as you probably know, the TV show, and they were meant to be together. I just think it was beautiful. I was just waiting for it the whole time.
Nice.
She was so excited. She almost squealed in the movie. Like, she literally had this physical jump in her seat, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is it!" It was really cool. I thought it was really good. I really loved, though, the other part of the Captain America story that I loved was Thor's hammer. I just thought that was really well done. Because when it happened, I was like, well, of course he can handle the hammer. It's amazing. But it was just nice that they added that in. And I think it cemented the friendship between Thor and Captain America really well. I think there was a lot of respect there, which was really cool.
Yeah, and I think Thor's response was pretty much hit the nail on the head. Like, just seeing his I knew it. look face was brilliant.
Yeah.
Actually, and I agree. Like, I think Cap's story was like, I really enjoyed Cap and Iron Man's story in this, but Cap, I think, really steals the show in this film.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I liked about Infinity War was it actually wasn't focused on the Avengers, it was focused on Thanos. But I thought this then shifted the focus back onto the Avengers really well. And their two storylines are probably, I think, the strongest part of the film for me. And Cap, Cap picking up the Thor was a cheering moment in our theater. But then, I think when you go to opening night stuff, you usually tend to get the really overexcited nerd base who camped out to get tickets. Like, I know we were all online. There's like 5 of us online talking about, have they opened yet? Have they opened yet? All right, go. So I think people were really excited, but there was something satisfying seeing him fight with both the shield and the hammer.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was cool.
Epic.
That was one of the highlights of the film for me, that moment where, the hammer rises and then it cuts to him and I'm like, yeah! That's one of my favourite little moments in this film.
But even I thought there was kind of a lot of nice little moments they had that I think will give people who are fans of the MCU a lot to go back to. Like, even the fact that it was Iron Man who sacrificed himself at the end was a nice cut back to the first film where Captain America was saying to him, you're not the guy to do that. You're not the guy who's going to make the call to sacrifice himself for the team. That's not you. So it was nice to see him step into that, and actually, for that, it was him in the end.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. And the being able to grab the hammer was good. But even the Hail Hydra getting into the elevator.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
Clever.
Yeah.
Just those little moments which they set it up, and I'm thinking, oh, we've seen this scene before, haven't we?
Yeah.
And then to see that
fight scene.
turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I just thought the little turnaround. I think there's so much in there for fans to go back and find little bits. And I mean, we always talk about the Easter eggs. I've been watching a lot of people's videos on going through and all the things that they picked up. And half of them, I'd say probably about 75% of people reading too much into stuff. But I think there is still plenty in there for people who really love the show, all the movies. Did you feel like it brought a satisfactory conclusion to the universe for you, or did it leave you wanting more?
Who are we going with?
Oh, go on, Tracy. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I can.
So Tracy's having some problems with the sound.
Well, I felt like it for me, because I'm not as much of a fan as you guys, but I enjoyed it and I felt like that was a good ending. In terms of like the other movies that are coming out, yes, I'll go and see them. Up next is the thing that annoyed me, so I'll put me off seeing more, basically, and it will make sense in a second.
Excellent. We lost you for a little bit there, Tracy, but I think
sorry.
Just for the last little bit, that's all right.
Yeah, I was just saying, the thing that you've got on your list next, that happened in the movie, we can talk about that, because that actually for me changed me wanting to see any more of the movie. I felt like I'd had enough. I was done. I'm good. It's been wrapped up nicely, and I'm ready to move on now to new stuff.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about Black Widow's death there, is that it?
So fuming about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, really?
okay, there's many reasons. Yeah, there's many reasons why I'm fuming. So I'm happy to list them. So number one, Hawkeye is the most dull, boring character ever. I was like, please take him, right? Like, seriously, he shoots arrows. Woo, awesome. I was like, dude, your time is now. Like, let's go. And I was super happy that I thought it was him. I was like, yes, this is amazing. So that really annoyed me. And then second to that whole team of guys, and they kill off Black Widow. Like, the whole team of men, and that's who they kill off. I was like, come on, like, And then they tried to make it up later in the movie by their little girl power bit where they had all these women coming in. And I was like, you know what? Screw you, man. Bring back Black Widow for me. So that I was like, okay, I'm done with the Avengers at that point. Like I felt like the conclusion for me was done and I was happy with that. So that was why I'm cool with there not being another movie at the moment. I might change my mind.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What did others think?
It annoyed me as well, I have to say. It kind of brought them, I was like totally pumped right until that happened. And all I could think was, like Tracy just said, wow, literally all that testosterone there and you've killed Black Widow. I get why they did it. They did it because if they killed Hawkeye, I think maybe even Dave, maybe you're the one that said, no one would care. But they went for the tears, but it's such a trope to do that. It's just so, like, it's right out of the handbook. It's the only thing about the movie that really disappointed me that they'd taken that route. But yeah, done now.
Yeah.
I suppose we need to hope for the prequel movie now.
Yeah.
Was that a big, Paul, was that a big standout moment for you at all?
I hated everything about that.
Yeah.
Because they killed her off.
Yeah.
I think they have really missed so much of an opportunity. Like, there is, oh gosh, they've been doing this for 10 years and they still haven't put out a female superhero film.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know, now the only one they're going to do is a prequel. Get over yourselves. You know, it's so frustrating. She is such a good actress. She's amazing in that role. And I just think it's a wasted opportunity. Yeah. But that's not the only thing that really annoyed me about that whole setup. I was so frustrated with the fact that in that scene, they kind of made out like these two people were long lost lovers and that, you know, one of them was going to sacrifice themselves for the other. So for a start, this is something my wife and I discussed. That was not actually how the sacrifice was supposed to work in our mind. So Thanos took his daughter and sacrificed the thing that he loved. She didn't get to sacrifice herself. So neither of them actually made the choice to sacrifice what they loved. They sacrificed themselves, which isn't supposed to be how it worked. Frustration number one. Number two, they made out to me, and I could have read it wrong, that because of this thing, these two were in love. And I'm like, well, hang on. We got this great setup in the early Avengers films that these two could be a thing. There's a lot of history. Maybe they're lovers. And then we find out they're actually just got a lot of history working together. They're really great friends. And he's got a wife and kids that he loves and adores. So in that moment, despite the fact that they're dead, he's like, oh, well, I guess I love you more. I'm like, what about the family that you've been fighting people for 5 years to avenge? What?
Yeah.
Hated that.
I didn't even think of that, and I love that you've thought of that.
Hated it.
Yeah, it had to be a sacrifice.
If he was saying, I'm going to sacrifice myself because my family's already dead, I'm going to sacrifice the opportunity to bring them back. That to me would have been sacrificed.
Yeah.
If they had swapped the Hulk and Hawkeye in those two scenes, and Bruce was the one that sacrificed Natasha, that would have had more impact for me because that was true love in there.
Yeah.
If that was the two people at that spot, then I absolutely would have felt a lot more about that. That whole scene just frustrated me. And in the end, when they kind of fighting over who's going to sacrifice themselves, I'm like, what is the point of this? It made no sense.
Perfect.
I picked up on, I agree. I saw them shooting off in the plane and them smiling at each other. And I thought, oh, that's a nice moment, but we know that one of them can't come back, right? Like I was even saying that to Ricky in the theater. We sort of looked at each other and went, we know where this is going. But I was very much more pragmatic about it because they landed on the planet. I went, okay, who leaves? As I said, I did say to you, Angela, I said, no one's going to care about Hawkeye. They're actually going to get upset if it's Natasha. Two, they already established the family that he's got to go back to. I also did think about the whole it's not a sacrifice if you do it yourself thing, but I kind of went, all right, well, whatever. But I also thought, well, it makes a more. I think it's also going to make for a more interesting setup for the film, the Black Widow film that they've got scheduled. I sort of thought, well, wouldn't that be an interesting way to, I suppose, get people going? Well, because everyone's now talking about, well, it must be a prequel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if they're trying to find a way. The whole film is now a way to try and bring her back to the universe. So I have my
That
own
would be awesome.
theories about that.
Well,
Yeah,
given
that
they
would
found
be
a
awesome.
way to
Hulk
bring
says at the-
Gamora back.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hulk says at the end, I tried to bring her back, buddy. I really tried. I miss her so much. But everyone else came back. Did he teleport her back from the planet, or is she alive on the planet now? I mean,
Yeah.
they don't cover any of that.
No.
Or she
I-
could
I
be
found
alive
that,
somewhere
like-
on Earth.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I found that was just a really weak kind of cover. And, you know, just let's show Bruce is very sad. I found that whole bit to be... And that scene where they're all down on the dock, that was just a pointless scene for me. That was... I
would say one of my criticisms, because I didn't walk out gushing about this film. In fact, I think I grew to like it more in retrospect as I reflected on it. But there was quite a number of scenes I sort of sat there and thought, well, we could have skipped over that one. Some of them felt like they were in there just for having a gag. And some of them felt like they were just, like there was multiple scenes explaining the time travel. And I kind of felt like they just didn't trust that the audiences would go along with it unless they explained it multiple times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a few scenes I wasn't so sold on. It kind of, there was a couple of things at times I remember sitting there going, yeah, we could have done without that. Like even the dock scene, just as I said, it kind of felt like, I don't know, it felt like a badly done, you know, high school play. I am angry now. I'm throwing something. Okay, Hulk, good on you, mate. I mean, I guess I'm looking forward to the Black Widow film. I'm hoping it's something good. I hope they do something to bring her back because I think she was actually, and I do think this came from the Joss Whedon days. When I saw her walk into the screen in what was it? Was it Winter Soldier or First Avenger? I'm trying to think it was one of the Cap films. I remember thinking, how are they going to make Natasha Romanoff any good? And to be honest, how's Scarlett Johansson going to pull it off? I was blown away by the end of the film, and I think through the first Avengers film, they really made her far more. They sold her far better than they sold Clinton Barrett. But you know, like, and I just thought she was one of the bigger. Like, she held the team together.
She was in
made
that.
it work.
She was in this film, wasn't she? I mean, she was the glue. They showed her. She was the one that was, you know, in contact with the different people, and then she was gone.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
I got a bit
she was
frustrated by
S.H.I.E.L.D.
that too, actually. Well, she was the one directing traffic, being the point of contact. She was keeping everything together and driving things forward. And then the minute everyone's back, it's like, well, we'll just push her aside.
Yep.
You know, she's been the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. But look, we probably should get through some of the other 159 characters that were in the film.
Let's talk about Ronan next.
Does anyone care? No. So let's move on. Right, the Ronan storyline was weird. That's the only thing I'm going to say. And the fact that he comes out with a Ronan tattoo, like, dude, you know, that does tattoos anyway.
It's like the internet knew then to cut you off, Dave. It was like, no more.
Oh, I got cut off. Dang it. I was just hacking on Hawkeye. The one thing I will say that I thought was nice, the one thing I did say, is they've never referred to him as Hawkeye through any of the films. They've never called him Hawkeye. The only time Hawkeye gets mentioned is when he's teaching his daughter how to shoot.
Yeah.
And he calls her Hawkeye, which in the comic books, she does become Hawkeye for a while.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm not saying it's To be honest, I'm not sure it's a role you'd want to step into, but
Not if it comes with that haircut.
maybe I'd be happy if it came with a gun.
Yeah.
Give that a go.
And a personality.
I almost don't want to go on.
Personality would be good. Yeah. Exactly.
That's why. I mean, well, I could say so much. I almost don't want to go on with the next two because I feel like I'm just being negative. I don't want to be negative even more. I'm gonna skip to Ant-Man. Ant-Man, who I thought was actually, I was surprised at how much of an influence on the movie he had. I actually quite liked his involvement. I don't know what anyone else thought. I mean,
I've got a confession.
is anyone else surprised?
I'll confess
Yeah.
to Tracy and I. We never saw those movies. We literally watched them maybe 2 weeks ago, was it? To catch up. I just had no interest. And I've got to say, we actually enjoyed them.
We did.
They were pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I really like the first one, and that's mostly because, you know, it was originally written by Edgar Wright, and that's a man who knows how to make good films. Like he gets filmmaking. I think he gets humor, he gets action. He knows how to put them together on screen really well. It's a shame he left the project over creative differences with Marvel, and part of that creative difference was he actually wanted Ant-Man to remain outside of the universe. He wanted them to be part of the same universe, but he didn't want to bring them into the whole End Game sort of thing. And clearly Marvel went, no, this, because the character got so much buzz when everyone heard that Edgar Wright was doing the film, that Marvel immediately went, we need to put him into the MCU. And then they had a falling out over it, and he left the project early and didn't come back for the second one. And I actually thought the second one was one of the safest sequels I've ever seen. It does nothing. It contributes nothing except setting up his appearance in Endgame. So, but I'd say the biggest props for actually saving Endgame has to be the rat that walked across the control panel.
Yeah.
That's the real.
Right? The unsung hero.
Without that rat,
started on the Lang storage space.
but without that rat, nothing would have happened. No one would have been saved. Everyone would have been disappeared.
Yeah, the rat was the hero of the film.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think the rat's getting enough creds. I don't even see its name in the credits. It was not there. It should have gotten its own signature one, you know, the rat peering with its own signature paw prints anyway.
Little paw prints.
That would have been
By
amazing.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, you say that, but I can see similarities between the acting styles. It's actually, the interesting thing there is, and I was pointing this out to a student today because any opportunity to point things out and make me sound smart about Marvel is I jump on. Is the storage facility had 616 on it? Which,
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the in Marvel comic books time. That's the current day Earth that we're following. So we are actually in continuity, people. That's a big tell. Also, what's nice is, did everyone catch all the Community cast appearing in different spots?
Well, I caught the one where they go back to where Peggy is, because I was paying a lot of attention there.
Yeah, of course. Well, of course, the Russo brothers had a lot to do with Community, so I wasn't surprised to see Community actors popping up in bit roles around. But yeah, look, you know, I really like Ant-Man, so I thought the movies were good. I think the character is solid, and I think the exciting thing for me was to see him get a few good moments, and to sort of drive the story as a bit of the out of place. I mean, he becomes, every good story has someone out of place who the audience can identify with and they can explain things to, and I think he does that well. Paul Rudd, I think, really does the role justice in that sense. Did anyone else? I mean, maybe not everyone is necessarily a fan, but I don't know what anyone else thought on Paul Rudd.
Yeah, I thought from an acting perspective, he's done the character well. I enjoyed both the Ant-Man films. I'm, again, not a massive kind of MCU culture knowledge base nerd. I don't know enough about it to see those little links that you were talking about, but I've enjoyed both the films. I thought he did well in this, and I agree. I think as the person that we get things explained to, he was placed well and played it well. And I like some of those little moments that he has, just the look on his face of, I have no idea what you're talking about. I think there's a bit of fun in that. But, he made a pivotal thing. My issue around all of that is just a lot of the setup and the story around it. But from a performance point of view, from a character point of view, thought it was great.
Well, he really does set up the whole time travel thing through the. I will say, while I was listening to them explain the time travel thing, in my head, I went, "Oh, I see. So now we're just going to go with wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff," which was then nice to have him call it a time heist, which is in fact the name of the Doctor Who episode where they call it wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool.
And so I'm sitting there going, wow, that's so meta. They totally just got inside my head there.
They added a few moments like that in, like callbacks to time travel things, though, didn't they?
Yeah, I was amazed to hear Hot Tub Time Machine get
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah.
And Die Hard, my favourite.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know. It's a Christmas film.
It is a Christmas
film. Well, I guess, I mean, I expected time travel to be part of it in a sense. I was expecting the time stone to have a more prominent part. I think that was the nice part for me was that opening, and I'm coming back to the opening, and I'm just trying to start to move into the time travel discussion. The opening did throw me. So I did go, oh my gosh, now where do we go? Because I was really counting on that time stone for my theories to be correct, and that kind of got blown out of the water in the first, what, was it 10 minutes? 10 minutes? Early. It did not take long. It was early. It did not take long. But I don't know, like when I saw them going through the time and I saw them going back to the movies, I sort of went, is this now just becoming we've got to revisit all the old films so that we can give fan service to people and reconnect them with what made these characters great? Or I don't know, it was a significant part of the film. I'd say it's pretty much the dominant second act of the film. I think you could pretty much break it down into the opening stuff. But I'd say it was pretty much most of the second act. How do people go with the whole time travel, going back and collecting the stones part of the storyline?
I suck with time travel in any capacity that it's discussed in any TV or movie. I'm always confused. It doesn't matter. And I'll say to Angela, wait, but if they've gone back then and done this, and she's like, oh my God, like I just can't get my head around it. And I had so many questions about things that happened. And I'm like, so one of the ones was when you start to go back and look at the old movies, I think they did some of them really well. I think some of those flashbacks were really good. But we were saying in terms of the Peggy and Captain America one, in the other movie, he shows up at her bedside. He's still young. She's old and surrounded by her grandkids. And I'm like, but like, how is this a thing? Like, when did this happen? Which bit of time did this happen in? So I was completely confused, honestly, about some of those little plot holes that I think the time travel just didn't answer very well. But other than that, I thought, like, what else were they going to do, right? Like, they kind of had to go down that path.
Yeah, and were you able to explain any of the time travel stuff in the end? Did you?
I just went alternate timelines.
Yeah, it's always the thing, all the time.
Well, someone pointed out to me it's actually the Dragon Ball Z version of time travel. Like it's all linear, but instead of sorry, Trace, just hang in there. But yeah, you actually can't change any of the time.
Yeah, the
you
main
can't change
timeline.
time. Yeah, but every time you do something,
yes.
Well, hang on, but every time they did something.
Time yet.
Yeah. Okay, well, okay, I'll just explain. This is for all the Traces out there. But every time they did something, it would splinter off and create an alternate timeline. Instead of changing time, it would create an alternate timeline. So that was the theory anyway, but whether it works out that way or not. Paul, say?
Get a cup of coffee. This is going to take a while. I had I had some inclination in the comics that time is a big thing. You know, obviously with what's his name, dude? That the other Marvel character that Thanos plays, that Josh Brolin plays, Cable. Traveling back in Deadpool, and I know through a lot of the Marvel comics that time is a big deal. I hadn't read anything. I hadn't kind of looked for any kind of preconceived notions of what the answer might be in this film. So the time thing was actually a bit of a surprise for me, again, because I don't know the lore, the LORE. So I'm always like raging when they start to play with time. The way that they explained that.
It's okay, breathe. It's okay.
I actually really liked the way that they tried to explain that if you go back in time, that technically your future is now your past. I liked that concept, as long as that current timeline doesn't change. And they made a big thing, particularly with Hulk visiting the Supreme Sorceress. They made a big point about, well, if you take the stone, it's going to do this and shoot off a timeline, and that's going to cause havoc for us. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it creating alternate timelines. But they made such a big deal about not trying to mess with it and not trying to screw it up. And the whole point of putting the stones back where they came from to reset that timeline so it was not jeopardized. Great concept. Until Thanos comes out of that timeline and into yours.
Yeah.
And now is no longer physically in the timeline you're trying to save.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That annoyed me. And then the whole wrap up at the end where they just kill him. Well, now he's gone, and now everything that they were working against themselves on of, hey, we can't mess up this timeline, we've got to fix it now, we can get them back now that it's done. Well, they've screwed that whole thing up by him coming out of his own timeline and being killed. Now he does not exist in his timeline. That's an issue for me, because everything they're fighting for is now defunct. So,
right?
Yeah, the only way I could just
massive alternate timeline.
Yeah, the only way I could justify that in my head was that for him to have come back, that would have had to have been an alternate timeline Thanos. So he's left his time, come into their timeline, and they've defeated Thanos, a younger Thanos. But the Thanos who blinked everyone out obviously still went ahead and did that because that's part of their past. That was the only way.
Sure. Go.
No, I was just saying that was the only way I could make sense of it. Otherwise, because I had that initial, okay, so now we're living with a paradox here. That's great. We'll just happily live on with the paradox. No problem. We can power a time machine with that one.
Yeah,
that's another
the issue for me was that they'd set up. Sorry, the issue for me was that they'd set up that they had to try and keep that original timeline safe and restore it. And for him to come out of that, it now doesn't exist. It now can't even become what's going to happen. I mean, yes, it happened in their past, but they don't fix everything by killing him now, because they can't. There's no point taking the stones back anymore, because it's not going to fix the timeline.
You're right, and in fact, we know that in many respects, some of those stones all now exist because Loki's stolen one.
Yeah.
That whole end of the first Avengers.
So that whole concept of taking the stones back afterwards becomes defunct, because that timeline can now never actually happen the way that it was happening, because Thanos isn't in that timeline anymore. And for me, that whole end, I was just frustrated that it became a big macho man fight again, really frustrated with the fact that that's all it comes down to. And I think there was a really big opportunity that they could have played on, is that in order for that timeline to be restored, if Thanos was coming after the stones, the real struggle, the real fight was actually making sure he ends up back in his timeline and survives.
Yeah, I was going to say that I thought they actually missed an opportunity there to have him referring to events which were to happen in the first film that could have left people going, what's going on? And at the end of the film, have to click him back into his original timeline, into their original timeline, into their past.
The real struggle would have been interesting for me if it's like, let's kill him. Actually, we can't kill him. We need to put him back in the timeline that he came from and let him do everything that he did before so that we can actually get back to this point.
Yeah, which would have meant having to live with the fact that Vision was dead and a few other characters were dead as a result. Having to live with those deaths. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure. But at the same time, as I felt there were a lot of moments which were just fan service, and I feel like having Thanos get defeated was more, I suppose what they would have expected people wanted to see was him to actually get defeated and to get killed somehow.
Yeah, that's
so
why
I don't know.
They
I agree. I think the time thing,
chopping his head off thing though, that was fan service as well. Because he'd said that to him, didn't he, in the other film? Should aim for my neck or whatever. So Thor's like, thwop. Done.
Yeah. And that was a really great moment for me.
Yeah.
Like I love the idea that was his final moment, not actually getting dusted.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It was a bit underwhelming, the dusting, I thought. Like it was just like, oh, snap your fingers and he's gone. It was like, oh, okay. Well, that was a bit of anticlimactic, really. So whereas at least with the first one, it was good. Yeah, it just didn't seem to fit. And this, I'm probably going to sound really dumb, but whatever. So if they take all of the stones back to where they came from, including the one that is the one that basically killed Black Widow, how does that even work? Like, she has to come back somehow, right? So surely if they wanted to write some kind of other storyline, they would just say that it was an impact of the stone, or have I completely missed something?
No, because it's Black Widow for Thanos. If he'd gone back,
this is why I don't travel.
for Thanos, that would have been his future, even though it happened in his past. So the stone would have been there, but Black Widow would have had to have died to have gotten the stone in the first place, so they could put it back there. Sorry about that.
No, I'm really grasping. I'm grasping.
Thanos had ended up back in his timeline.
Yeah,
correct.
Well, yeah,
if
exactly.
Thanos had gone back into his timeline, but that's why a lot of people think we have to live with the death, is because the stones got clicked. Thanos got clicked out. But anyway, yeah. So time travel, I think, was problematic, but I think it gave them a chance in any sense to go back and revisit all the old films, which is what I really think the time travel part was all about.
Yeah, it was fan service. America's
yeah.
art.
But in some senses, I think it's also that's right. God bless America's ass. I'll salute that backside. In some sense, I think also for me, like the film, one of the things the film does do well is that it does bring the franchise to date to a good conclusion and wrap up. In fact, one of my friends, Kate, says that for her, as someone who's got a bit of superhero exhaustion, it becomes a really great stepping off point. Like, she's hung in here this long, she'd be happy to step off at this point, and feel like she's gotten the completion, well, just stuff, the complete story. But I felt like actually one of the things they did do well was to bring this generation to a close. And I actually felt the feeling I had. Yeah, closed. That's right, closed. This generation is what I was saying. But I actually felt walking out of the theatre and knowing that this was the last one, I think one of the things that will carry the film and make it perhaps more, what's the word I'm looking for? More popular than what maybe it would be if just an everyday finality to it. And I think it is the saying goodbye to all these characters and saying goodbye to these storylines. And I think that, it felt like for me like it was when I finished off the 7th book of Harry Potter. I got to the end of Harry Potter and I was like, oh, the story's over now, and there was a sort of sense of loss of.
Did they make books out of those films?
I sort of felt that here too. Sorry?
Did they make books out of those films, those Harry Potter films?
Yeah, they weren't as well written as the movies, though. I think we should probably go back and cover some of these characters, because there was, I mean, we've talked about a few things that have irked us. I guess for me, the big one that's really irked me has been the Thor and Hulk betrayal in the film, were real letdowns for me. And I think in part, I really loved the Thor gag of him being, you know, the dude.
Yeah.
For the first 2 seconds. I had a laugh. And then I went, can you get him back into shape, please? I feel like I've gone with Thor from the first Thor film through all the films, through up to Ragnarok, into Infinity War, and I felt there's been this great arc of him learning his powers, discovering who he is, claiming that identity, and then to have him sort of suddenly depowered and like this sort of quiver. I get the depression thing, but I don't feel that really. I felt like that should have been almost resolved before we got to the end fight. I kind of didn't want to watch. I didn't want to watch the dude in a fist fight. I wanted to watch Thor. I wanted to see Thor have his moment in this fight, and I don't think he really got it. And I really felt that they had to pull him back and underpower him a little bit to sort of make it play out the way it did. I don't know. I wasn't really happy with Thor. I mean, but not everyone agrees with me. But I don't know. What did you think of Thor in the film? Paul, what did you think?
Yeah, look, I loved the moment where he just cuts Thanos' head off. I thought that was just, you know, a great moment. I loved the fact that we see a really kind of out of sorts Thor. I like the fact that in their own way they kind of brought in, you know, a bit of depression. I mean, as an actor, you go through these highs and lows of post-show blues, and you know, people are dealing with that just every day in life. And I think to actually see someone dealing with, you know, a real issue. Yeah, okay, they tried to make it comic and that sort of stuff, but I think there's real power in that, you know, even someone really powerful can have a bad day and have a bad month and a bad couple of years. I think that's important. But I didn't mind. I loved the overweight gag. I loved the out of shape gag a lot. I thought that was hilarious. I love the fact that Korg, is it Korg? And
Yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
living with him.
Yeah, they're
I
so
loved
cool.
that. That was great. Yeah, I really like that. What frustrated me with Thor was that I felt like we were seeing the second film all over again. Was it the second one? You know, where he's like,
Yeah, the second one.
I'm so lost in who I am. It's like, no, we don't need to see that. I mean, he knows who he is now. And Dave, you just touched on that a little bit. And that frustrated me, that less about the fact that he was depressed about losing, depressed that his whole team was destroyed. I totally get that. I think that was really strong. But the fact that it was, now I'm questioning something I've already worked through. Yeah, I didn't really believe that. That was just a lost storyline for me. I didn't mind him being fat the whole way through. I think once he's in the suit, you can't tell. I think he picked up well enough in the fights. I thought the bits of fighting that he got were fine from that point of view. But again, for me, that last moment where he hands over the reins, I would like to have seen them do that, but do it differently and not from that place of, I need to go and find myself again. We already had a whole movie dedicated to that storyline. So that's what frustrated me with it.
Fair enough.
And were you invested much into Thor at all beforehand? Or?
Confession time.
Yeah, okay. All right. Hang on. I'm writing them down as we go here.
Okay. We only watched Ragnarok recently as well. I know people kept saying, oh, you should watch it, it's really good. But I was like, oh, I don't like CGI overly. Tracy will know this. I like practical effects and story and characters. And all of the Ragnarok trailers to me just reeked CGI overload. So I was like, oh, I'm not that fussed. But Thor in this, I thought he was great. He was obviously suffering. Like you said, he had depression, PTSD, whatever was going on. And I liked it. I know it's had a lot of backlash, actually, for fat shaming.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I haven't heard any of that. That's interesting.
Oh, my goodness. Type it into Twitter. Yeah, people have lost their minds. But look at me. Do you know what I mean? Fat shaming. It's I didn't feel any kind of like personal attack watching it. I thought it was freaking hilarious. The fact that they'd made him, like you said, the dude out of. I mean, I think they even said Lebowski at one point. Didn't someone call him that?
Yeah, that's right. They called
right. I thought it was brilliant. It was funny. It was obviously supposed to be the comedic line through the movie. Did a great job.
I must admit, on that, I did think that there was my immediate thought in that scene while we're watching him walk around the room, I was thinking, well, at least we've opened up a whole door to larger bodied cosplayers. I thought, because even I look like Thor from the neck down now.
Yeah, I thought Thor was great in this movie. And the thing between him and Quill, the like back and forth, the Asgardians of the galaxy.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
Who doesn't love that? That is just brilliant. So
that's actually that was one of the things that had me excited, was seeing that, because for most part I think I really envy Hemsworth's ability to move between fierce like action hero to really great comedic timing. And and sort of looking at the two, I'm wondering, between Quill and Thor, it's going to be a hard pressed thing to keep them both on the ship. Like, I'm wondering if one's going to outshine the other. Like, they're both very strong comedians, very good at what they do. I reckon it's going to be a hard gig to actually to carry a whole movie. And I'm wondering if actually Hemsworth's going to steal Guardians of the Galaxy as a cast member.
That's what that whole skit was about, wasn't it? Who's in charge? Oh, I think they know who's in charge. It's brilliant.
That's good. A lot of people predicted. Sorry, just quickly moving on before we finish up. A lot of people predicted Intelligent Hulk. I was on the bandwagon of expecting Intelligent Hulk to come along. Everyone else okay with Intelligent Hulk? Did you like him? Tracy, were you?
I did like him. I liked him. I thought it was cool. It was the best of both, right? And he was very relatable, I think, as that role. And it was nice to see him looking how he did and having a bit of humor, when he was doing like the selfies with the kids in the diner. I loved that. It was really nice just to see a bit of humor in Hulk, who's always so tortured, I think, in every movie. So it was nice to feel like he'd grown as a person, I suppose, and embraced, his new self. So I really liked him. I thought it was great. And Thor as well. I loved that storyline. I thought that was really good. There is characters on the list that I did not like that you haven't mentioned yet, but we'll see if we get to
okay.
them. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll finish off. We'll get through Hulk because being one of the main characters.
Yeah.
Paul, were you invested much into the Hulk storyline yourself, or?
Loved what they did with the Hulk in this film. It's what I've been hanging out for. Again, not a big comic book reader as a kid, but I knew that Hulk hit a point where he became the mix of both the Intelligent Hulk. I really hated the first two Hulk films with Eric Bana. I think Eric Bana's a great actor, and I think he did a great job in the role. I think it was a terrible script. But I hated both of those films that, again, they just went back to the old Hulk smash kind of mentality. I think Joss Whedon did a really great job moving the Hulk forward in character development in the first Avengers film. Just a couple of little quirks that he put in there where, the flipping around of Loki. But for me, the most powerful moment was, Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner saying, "That's the secret. I'm always angry." For me, it was just so good to hear. And I think Ruffalo has been an amazing Hulk, an amazing Bruce Banner. I think he fits physically. The shape of his face just works when they do the expansion. I think that's fantastic. And his whole, just the nature of him, when you see him in other films, he's just a lovely dude, and I think it plays well on the Banner contrast. So I've loved Mark Ruffalo as Hulk. I was super pleased to see them go down the Intelligent Hulk road on this. I loved it. And then I loved the little moments they built into it of what was the embarrassment, when he sees his old self smashing things brutally. A little kind of,
and he's like, "Oh,
I'm so sorry."
One of the funnier moments in the time travel part.
But sure. What's that?
I thought that was one of the funnier moments in the time travel part. I
Yeah.
actually had a good laugh at that. I thought that was well done.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I actually thought oh, sorry. Did I skip someone? Did I skip you, Ange?
No, I don't think. Oh, about Hulk?
Yeah.
Hulk rocks. Carry on.
Okay, excellent. I was actually really excited for Doctor Hulk, which is probably why I was a bit disappointed with the fact that they resolved that whole thing off screen. For me, it felt like the whole last movie was leading up to it, trying to see the two come together. It looked. I was really excited by the idea that instead of them seeing themselves as trying to solve different problems, but for him to finally find a way to bring and resolve those two, for both personalities to come to terms with each other, I thought would be a really great storytelling arc. And I think I was looking forward. I mean, for me, it felt like part of his role was to just keep the story moving while Tony wasn't interested in doing the time travel stuff, so they could have a couple of gags and then come to in. And then to use the glove. I would have liked to have seen that conflict come to a head at using the glove or something like that, where he actually had to pull it together and really come and for both personalities to come to terms to make that action, rather than it just being something he could do. I don't know, like, I guess I was looking for just something. I was looking for that storyline from Infinity War, which I was really invested in. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see this play out. But it all played out off screen.
Off screen, yeah.
And that was my disappointment there. So, because I was excited for Dr. Hulk, and he does. I agree with all of you. I think he looks the part. And the character is so interesting. Like, I just think there's a lot there to explore. And I'm kind of glad. I think he's going to move on into a few other. I think there's a few other avenues, and I'm kind of hoping he might even sneak into the Black Widow film for that to be a tension there.
Hopefully.
All right, but Trace, look, I really want to hear from you. I want to hear some of these. What were some of the character issues you had?
Okay, Nebula. I cannot stand that character.
Oh,
I don't care if people think that's insane. I just cannot get into this character at all in any form. I find every second that she's on screen annoying, and it's not because of the actress, who I think is wonderful. I just cannot get into that character. Disgust.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you go.
Go on.
No, you're right.
I was just going to say, in terms of the story, I actually thought it was really clever. The sharing, well, I guess I don't know what to call it, sharing the same Wi-Fi connection was a good way to tip Thanos off.
yeah.
But I don't know about her being one of the team necessarily. I think I kind of liked her as an antagonist. Like when in Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought she was a good antagonist for Gamora. She was an actual threat. They sort of, I mean, Gamora's meant to be the most fearsome fighter in the universe, not that we've actually seen that, but, she's obviously up there with her. As far as a team member goes, it was kind of nice, and I thought that moment was nice between her and Stark in the shuttle. But I don't know about sort of touchy-feely Gamora. I don't know about that. Ange, do you agree with Tracy's assessment of?
She doesn't annoy me as much. But I quite like the growth between those two characters. But she would be at the very low end of the characters that I enjoy watching. Yeah. So in that sense, yeah, we agree. But I do like the relationship building. She's gone from being the blue meanie or whatever to, having that connection with Gamora. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess even the directors weren't too interested in spending too much time on it, because by the end of the film, we pretty much have old Gamora back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Paul, did you take much investment in Nebula and Gamora, or? So I should have been saying Nebula.
No, I agree with you, actually. I liked her more as an antagonist. I liked her more as someone that they needed to keep close but had to keep a close eye on as well. That was just a little bit more of an interesting layer to having her there. I agree with Ange. I actually quite liked the character arc. I think that was the problem, though, is that we had seen her full arc already. She'd done the flip now. So there wasn't really a lot of other places to take her. So, for her to be the one that then convinces Gamora to finally make good on the feelings that she now knew Gamora had, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I think she's a bit of a slap on character at the end at the moment. So
yeah, I don't know where they take her from here.
Messenger notifications. I didn't mean to cover.
No, that's all right. Was she the main one for you, Tracy, or were there some other characters you went to crash hot on?
I don't like Loki either. Look at your face.
What?
You've never liked Loki though, hey?
No,
like through all the movies.
No, I don't like him.
Sorry, Trace. I think your line's getting staticky. I think you're breaking up. I think where's that delete button again?
I'll just disappear now. And I have no true justifiable reason why I don't like them. I just cannot warm to the characters. I'm not invested in their storyline. I just don't care that if they were never on screen again, I just would not care, which, that's just how I feel. There's no justifiable reason for it or anything particular that I can put a sort of finger on. I just find him to be he's just such a whiny little bitch sometimes.
That's true.
Well, I can't refute that argument.
And I'm like, give me something else.
I think for me,
that's my.
I
anyway,
like Tom. I think I like Tom's portrayal of him. I think one of the things is for me is Loki is a trickster, but in terms of storytelling style, they've actually used him as a shapeshifter. So they focus on the shapeshifting element of him. He can pretend to be someone else, but actually Loki's a trickster, and in mythological lore, tricksters were people who they brought out the worst in people by giving them everything they wanted. Whereas he just sort of seems to do stuff sometimes because it's nasty.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that that's really living up to the potential of what a good trickster character can do. I think a good trickster character is sort of they're not evil, but they're the fly movement, and they sort of, so that they'll sort of help you achieve everything you want, and then suddenly you realize that everything you wanted is actually nothing that you wanted. So they become a good sort of revealer of your true desire and your true character. So I'm not sure they've ever really lived up to that side of things. Paul, are you much of a Loki fan, or?
I've quite enjoyed his character. I like, as you say, I think there's some really great trickster elements. I like is it in gaming terms, would he be considered chaotic neutral, that he messes with things for his own gain? Like it's really everything he does is for his own pleasure. Is that the alignment? But whatever it is, I think I like Tom Hiddleston as an actor. I think he's done well in that character. I think it's hilarious that he auditioned for the part of Thor.
Really? I've missed that tidbit of information.
So did Liam Hemsworth, actually, while we're on that.
Oh, really?
Jeez.
Yeah, and it actually, Liam was more tipped to get the role, and something happened, and they kind of went, they ended up going back to Chris, but would have been a slightly different film. But yeah, on Logan,
I remember what... Sorry?
You go.
I was just saying, I remember watching Star Trek, the first Star Trek, J.J. Abrams Star Trek film, and someone pointed at Kirk's father and said, "Oh, that's going to be the next Thor. That's going to be Thor. That guy's going to play Thor." And I just sort of looked at him and went, "That weedy little guy. How?" But wow, was I wrong? Just completely wrong. Had no idea. We probably should get through a few of the other background characters, because I think in terms of some of the choices made, we have Falcon now taking over Captain American mantle, which is in line with the comics, but not the one I thought. I actually thought they'd spent more time developing the Bucky character, and I'd sort of tipped Bucky. So I was surprised to see Falcon get it. which really makes me wonder because they've got a Falcon and Winter Soldier TV series coming out. So I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but I don't know. What did you think of Falcon taking the role of Captain America? Anyone?
Yeah, good. I liked it. And I read online some people are really annoyed, but yeah, I mean they've been besties, haven't they? It's that thing. What is it you said to him when they met, on your left or
On your left.
on your right or whatever it was? Yeah, perfect. Why not?
Yeah, I actually thought that was a good moment in the movie.
Yeah,
You know, leading to that battle scene, that was a really nice little. I thought that was a nice little nod.
tip of the hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised by it. I thought Bucky was also going to be probably the one that ended up taking it over. But in purely practical terms, and the producer in me, I'm really pleased that they went that way from a diversity point of view.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and it certainly does fit with the comics currently, even though Bucky was the first to take over the Captain America role. But I'm excited to see how they do it with Falcon, because he's not like Bucky. At least has some super enhancements. Falcon's got none. He relies on his suit. Were you much invested in Falcon yourself, Trace, or were you not
overly?
so
No, but I like the diversity aspect of it. I think that was really important. And I like that as the movies have progressed, we've seen that more. And I think it's really important in this genre of movies to continue to do that. So I thought that was really good. They've tried to address it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be. I think the goal should be to make really good stories come out of this. I mean, I've got my concerns about Captain Marvel. Seeing her in the film being so overpowered, I'm like, how are they going to create a threat that's big enough for her next film? Like
over and under.
I mean, that we've got to have
over and underpowered. See that scene where she came in at the end, and it was like, oh, what is that? And she smashed through that ship, and then tried to smash through Thanos, and he was just like flicked her off like she was a fly.
No, I thought that was a big power moment for her because he headbutted her and she didn't flinch.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like, oh. But then he flicked off the Power Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he flicked off the Power Stone and hit her with the Power Stone.
Yeah.
Which I thought actually, one thing I liked about that moment, even though I went, oh no, she's so powerful, like she's gonna, how are they going to cope with that? I actually thought, it was good to show that Thanos, yes, she was more powerful than Thanos, but he was a smarter fighter.
Yeah, it just bugged me. I was like, oh, she can fly through, the universe, essentially. She can take out an entire giant war freighter, and then she's on the ground, and I don't know. I just felt like it was uneven. I know he uses stone, so fair enough. But yeah, I don't know.
I thought it actually undermined it. I think Tracy, you mentioned the scene where all the women come together.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Which was
so overdone.
Well, yeah. Well, I actually thought that was. I agree with most people that was maybe hinting at the A-Force, which is the female version of the Avengers from 2015.
And weren't they? They lasted.
They lasted
2 seconds. Oh, here we go. Oh no, the men need to save them. Sorry, they're all a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
So pointless.
I just my wife sort of summed it up for me really well, I thought, because she said she put into words exactly what I was thinking. She went, yeah, it looked like a great moment, but we just saw her destroy an entire ship. What are they going to do to back her up? Like,
she doesn't need them.
She doesn't need them.
No. She's I love Captain Marvel. I'm just super, super excited about this whole series. And I love her. I think Brie Larson's amazing in that role. I think she adds a really good sense of humor. She looks great in the role.
Deadpan, isn't she?
Yeah, but the whole movie, I was like, where is she? And I know that people are like, oh, well, they can't have Captain Marvel take over the whole movie because it's the Avengers, and I get that. But she is their most powerful person. Everyone else had shown up. I'm like, where is she? And then she shows up at the end, and I felt like she didn't really do that much, to be honest. It didn't showcase her powers as much as it should have, I don't think, which was a bit of a shame. And I felt like the women all coming together was just so cliched and overdone. And I'm a big fan of female superheroes, but I was like, oh God, really? Like, this is just, it's making it just too obvious that, oh, here's the shout out now for the women superheroes. We just killed Black Widow, but don't worry, it's all going to be fine. So that was kind of my take out of it.
Scarlet Witch was good though.
Love Scarlet Witch. She's awesome.
See, to me, that was the real big moment. Like, watching Scarlet Witch take Thanos on, I was way invested in that.
She was amazing.
And it was just nice to see her not only get a moment, but to see her start to unleash her power, which if you read the comic books is, you know, very scary what she's capable of. So I was really excited for that part, and I thought she was actually initiated what was a really scary, like, you know, you think about, I don't know if you're into reading historical wars, but if a commander is calling the you know, for the artillery to shoot on their troops as well, it's kind of a dire situation. So anyway, Paul, did you think much of I
just wanted to touch on two of those things. That the whole I was really disappointed during Black Panther, where they're in one of the big fight scenes. They actually had three of the women facing off with one of the big bads at that moment, and you know they were having a really nice little impact. And then of course they all got knocked over, and it was the guy that had to save them all at the end there. I thought, you know, there was just such an opportunity for them to capture that guy and take him to the ground, and they could have done that, and it would have been fantastic. And then they squandered it. And you know, then again, you know, for Brie, I totally agree. You know, you got Captain Marvel flying around. Someone didn't think to use the pager and let her know that Thanos has turned up.
Yeah.
We kind of need you now. Can you get here and help? You know, you're in a war. You're going to pull out the biggest gun you've got when you need to. So the fact that she wasn't anywhere in the film when the crap really started to hit the fan, I'm really annoyed about that. Really frustrated.
Yeah.
And
No, you go. I was going to say, even at the bit where the portal started opening at the end and they're walking through, I'm like, yes, this is it. She's going to show up. And I was like, what the hell? Where is she? Like, there was literally everyone, and she just wasn't there.
Yeah, the whole Captain Marvel was a setup to have her in this film, and then she was there for 2 minutes at the start and 2 minutes at the end. And you're like, I mean, it was a great film. I really enjoyed Captain Marvel, and I'm glad to see a female superhero come through the ranks. It's about freaking time, but what a waste of an opportunity.
Well, yeah, to be honest, Paul, I almost thought the Captain Marvel film was to have a Marvel film before Infinity Wars.
Yeah, well, maybe it was. Maybe.
Like, I honestly don't think they wanted her in this one to be much of a threat. They worked pretty hard to keep her out story-wise.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I understand the justification that they made. You know, I get that. I understand. Hey?
She's busy.
Yeah. So
totally busy.
But I think for me, having her come in at the end, I loved the headbutt. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I loved that. I actually, for me, the minute that they did that shot with all of the women characters coming together, I had a little yes, and then it lasted 7 seconds.
Yes,
I'm like,
right.
Oh, I wasted it again. You know, it's just. I was really hopeful that they were going to do something. And in all honesty, it did not cross my mind that they would be able to do nothing to support Captain Marvel. I thought they would all come forward and start clearing a bit of a path and being, you know, the diffusion on the sidelines to stop her getting hit with stuff, take a bit of that, you know. I thought they just wasted it again. And, you know, I agree, just flown through a giant freaking spaceship twice and destroyed it, and the thing explodes and knocks her over.
Right?
That, you know, the van explodes and she can't take that while she's flying. Pretty sure that spaceship would have been pretty hard to hit.
Yeah, I think the I agree with the Russo brothers in that they said they want to sort of focus the franchise and try to build some of the diversity into it, which is why they had one of the directors playing the first openly gay character at the start of the film, the guy talking about his husband dying. But it kind of, like, I actually thought that was really well done. That was quite natural. It was part of the film. Captain America is one of the worst counselors I'd ever want. He immediately turns the conversation back to himself. He's not active using his active listening skills. Immediately starts sharing, because he starts going, you know, oh yes, well, I was trapped in the ice for 75 years, and I just sort of turned and went, what a
about you,
freaking
buddy?
douchebag. That's right. But it was,
no
it was a
wonder
really
there
nice
was only
story.
4 people left in his counselling session.
That's right.
That was the thought I had. Captain America is hosting a counselling session, and there's only 4 people there. That's a problem.
They've all
Good
left.
point.
I thought it was good though.
But I sort of
going to get some coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually thought I think I agree with them. You know, let's build in the diversity. But I think some of the times they've handled it, it's felt like, oh, here's our diversity moment.
Shoehorn in, yeah.
Instead of making it more natural and a part of the storytelling, it should be natural. We should just expect it and see it.
That's what I really liked.
The female man.
I like that though. Like you say, Dave, I think that it was so natural that it just felt like it was part of the story. It didn't feel forced at all. What I was really sad, I didn't realize that was the first time that they'd been an openly gay character in Marvel until Angela told me afterwards. And I was horrified, to be honest, that it's taken this long. But anyway, that's just a side note. But I thought the way they did it was lovely. And I think there was a particular poignancy to the fact that it was Captain America that he was engaging with. And I think it was a very thinly veiled political point that they made. So I thought that was really lovely as well.
Yeah, and I think at those times, I think that's when films being political does it well, because it leaves it open and it just sort of says this is what life's like for people.
Yeah.
And here's a story, here's someone's human story. I agree with you. I actually didn't think about the symbolism of him being with Captain America. I was just sort of caught up in the fact that he's a really crappy counselor.
Yeah.
But yeah. But then those moments. So it'll be nice to see how that develops over time. Yeah, you're right. First in the movie universe, not the first in the comics by any means. Though it's sort of unclear because Deadpool is pansexual and he's it'd be interesting to see what they inherit with the whole Sony and Fox and all the X-Men characters coming over too. I'm going to quickly push things down to a close. Some of your favorite Easter eggs in the film?
Before we go to favourites, can I throw one thing out that I hated?
Yeah, go for it. I don't think we've hated enough.
Before we get into the fun finish.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the worst product placement moments in the world.
Oh,
come on! Look, I think the Aldi was the greatest. It was the first hero in the film, wasn't it? It was the first hero
Aldi?
pose in the film. Audi.
Oh, the Audi.
Audi.
I thought you said Aldi.
Aldi.
Apart from that,
German
very prominent.
stores.
I'm talking about the Axe body spray.
Oh,
All right. Yes.
Well,
That
yeah.
did jump
Really?
out. You're right. Yeah.
Are you wearing Axe body spray? I keep a can in the drawer for emergencies. Let's move on with the film.
Right. Yes.
I
Agreed.
just thought, because for me the first part was where they pulled up in the Audi and they all stand out, and it's like, really? All right, whatever. I know they've got to pay. They've got to pay. I mean, the first thing I thought, honestly, when Iron Man died was I went, oh, they just saved $56 million for the budget there. That's good, but they got to pay. How much does this film to make? Like 400, some ridiculous amount of money.
Jillian.
But the product placement's getting pretty weak, isn't it? Good grief.
Yeah.
They could do better.
Look, I don't mind the cars speeding in and parking and you see the logo. I mean, you see that in a lot of action films anyway. I don't have a problem with that so much. That one to me, that felt like a normal sort of shot that you would see in a film. I was okay with that. It was overt for me, but I was way more okay with that than I was with the Axe body spray. But that said, it's actually done exactly what they wanted it to do, which is get people talking about Axe body spray.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing it up.
Sorry. I had to say it.
All right, so Easter eggs you didn't like, Axe body spray. All right. Any Easter eggs you did like?
Ooh.
I didn't get Easter eggs this year.
Oh, okay.
I like the Build-A-Bear reference.
Oh, that was good.
For Rocket.
Yeah, for Rocket,
For
because
Rocket.
they did a deal, I think, with Build-A-Bear, so you can get Rocket and Build-A-Bear, and I was like, that's again product placement, actually. But I thought that was pretty cute, and so
David,
I was like, yeah,
my
that's
Christmas
pretty
present.
fun.
I would love a Build-A-Bear,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
especially a Marvel one.
I don't know if it's an
Wow.
Easter egg, but I love the reference to Back to the Future. It's one of my my favorite points
And
throughout it.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Ange, did you have any favorite Easter eggs at all?
Sure. What? I can't. My mind has gone completely blank. I can't actually think of any. I'm sure when you mention them, I'll go, "Oh yeah."
No, okay. Well, I mean, for me, the one thing that people point out to me, having watched the film, I didn't even pick it up on my second watch through.
Oh.
But I have seen screenshots that Howard the Duck comes out. For the
I
fight.
read that.
What?
Yeah. I read that.
No.
Could not believe it, and I've seen the screenshots, and he is sure enough there, and I'm like, that is way cool. Like,
When
he's
was
this
he in there?
nothing character. When they're all walking out of the portals, when Doctor Strange, who
Oh yes.
yeah, Doctor Strange, who had to travel in a spaceship to get to Thanos' homeworld, but apparently can just open a portal from it now. And Doctor Strange, who also opens a portal for every other single character in the MCU except Captain Marvel.
Right.
So when he does that, everyone's walking out, and like you've got all the characters coming in from around the different universes. In one of the scenes, like coming through the portal was Howard the Duck with a gun between a couple
That's
of
so cool.
MCU characters.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I thought that was nice.
And I think, Angela, didn't you mention that Jarvis was in it as well?
Oh, I
Yes.
loved that Jarvis was in it. I
Yeah.
was so happy when I saw him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, not only obviously for the Iron Man thing, which is fine. I get people connected with the Iron Man butler or voiceover or whatever, but just for Peggy. As soon as I saw Jarvis, I immediately connected it to Agent Carter, and I was like, "Oh, it's adorable."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned my favorite, which was the Hail Hydra one. I thought that was a really
Oh, that was
cool.
good
yeah,
story.
that was brilliant.
Yeah. Fan theories moving forward. Anyone got any fan theories they think that's about the universe moving forward?
Well,
I have a few.
see at the end of the movie when they were, I think Quill was looking for Gamora on the thing. Nothing came up, right? Is that because he was scanning for the dead one, who obviously the Soul Stone or whatever is taken? Because
Ooh, I don't know.
yeah, I was just like, that's weird that nothing's come up. I felt like maybe that was a point, but I'd missed it. Like I didn't know what it meant.
I thought that would just become part of the plot line. Like I thought that was setting up the plot line for Guardians 4, that
Yeah.
he would be looking for Gamora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I felt too. I felt that there is a Gamora alive now, even though we can't get Nat back. Yeah. So that's what I felt. It's like he was just scanning for her and was trying to work out where in the universe she was. And it was the fact that nothing came up just meant that he hadn't found her yet. So that's what I
Okay, cool.
Yeah, actually, my theory, my big theory, which this is me just going way out on speculation here. I'm wondering if the events of this film and the fact that they've created alternate universes and perhaps even left a little wiggle room for a paradox there, or a big lot of room for a paradox.
Oh, no.
good time to
I'm
cut
wondering
out. Well
all
done.
of the alternate realities. Oh, sorry.
Start again, Dave.
the universe is saying that this is a spoiler. So it's just started to rain here, so I think I'm getting some interference now. The for me, I was just saying that I think the because I wonder if these events with the whole time travel thing, and now the fact that it's created so many alternate realities as a result, bringing Thanos back, collecting stones, all that sort of thing, Loki shooting off. I wonder if that's leading us towards the Secret Wars. I believe it's the Secret Wars storyline, which is actually about all of the alternate realities starting to collapse and get destroyed. So actually whole timelines start to disappear, which I think would be
That'd be cool.
a step up in terms of, yeah, I think it's a step up in terms of now we don't just have a universe-ending threat, we have a whole timeline-ending threat. So, I don't know, that's my big theory, getting it out there early.
I did hear that there's supposed to be a Loki series coming along, and that one of the theories is that it's actually going to be built from the point where he disappears with the Tesseract in this film.
Yeah, well, actually, the interesting thing about moving forward for the MCU is that part of it is going to be the inclusion of their streaming service on Disney. So that they've actually got a number of TV programs coming out, and they're actually saying that you'll have to watch the TV programs if you want to know the setup for all the films. So they're kind of really selling hard. Yeah, they're selling hard the whole interconnected universe through that platform there. So you'll have WandaVision coming out, where they'll obviously explore that relationship and that timeline. You've got Loki, you've got Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I think there's one more I was trying to think. Does anyone else recall? I think there's another one. It's not coming to me.
Please tell me it's female.
What's his name? Hawkeye gets one.
Oh,
God.
Yawn.
Hawkeye's got a series coming out.
Well, wouldn't it be good if it was his daughter then? At least that would be I don't know, something.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't have the same haircut.
Or personality.
Yeah. Lack thereof.
Or skill set. I mean, let's just use the name and have a completely different character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Jeremy Renner.
Oh, bugger.
Oh, yeah, I've got people commenting now about it. Lol, it sounds like they're trying to get more money. Well,
yeah.
Hugh, welcome to Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I think that'll be really interesting if that's their play, by building to really understand truly what's going on in the films that you'll need to see the TV series, whether that will actually hurt the sellability of the films, whether people will go to them, and because they're going to have to play a really careful balance in the writing of those films, because they're still going to have to sell them as standalone films that can be understood by whoever's watching. So if there's too much stuff that's referenced into the TV shows that people who don't have or can't afford streaming services, I mean, I'll never get that. So, that's going to be a really tight balance.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now that Dave's
I agree. I don't know. I was just responding to comments. Sorry, I was listening, but I agree. And most people seem to agree with you. I mean, I don't know. I liked the tie-ins with Shield, and I really like Shield. In fact, we're rewatching the series now. We've hired them out from the library, which is a thing you can do, apparently. And I liked the Hydra storyline that happened in Shield, but as you said, it was something that's still, like, I didn't need to watch Shield to know what was happening in Winter Soldier, and not Winter Soldier, the next one, whatever the next. No, it wasn't Civil War. What was I can't remember. Anyway, but the films did have that storyline, but it played out in the TV series, and in fact, the TV series has tended to follow on the impact of it happening in the movies rather than the other way around. So I don't know. All right, and so any overall thoughts people want to end with? Do you feel satisfied with it as a film? Are you happy with this as a conclusion? Looking for something else from it?
Who's going? I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think we loved it, despite those little quibbles. I know we complained a bit about Black Widow and that trope of those female characters, which was a bit annoying. But overall, I mean, they tied everything up. It was super clever, so much fan service. I thought it was a brilliant movie. Yeah. Really good.
Tracy, do you agree with that? Is that pretty much how you feel, even though, I mean, as someone who's not as invested in the comic books as some of us?
Yep. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I think a really good way to judge that is that it was a really long movie and it did not feel long for me.
True.
Like, I felt like it went in really quickly, and that it didn't really have any low points other than the one we've mentioned. It felt like it built up quite well. So yeah, I thought it was a great movie. I loved the humor through the movie. I loved the pop culture references, and I liked that it wasn't. I liked that Captain America got more of a storyline as well. I thought was really good. So yeah, overall, really great.
Paul?
Yeah, for me,
What do you think?
there was a lot to like in the film. I mean, I love the way that the Marvel films tend to be shot. I think visually they look spectacular. I really love the CGI stuff that they like. CGI's come so far.
Yeah.
And, you know, to put someone like Thanos on screen beside real characters who are, you know, they're in the flesh and he's a CGI thing, and for it to still be blended that well. I mean, there's a lot to love about the story. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I like superhero films, though. I'm a bit of a sucker for that. The storyline, the timeline thing in this really, like, I'm a massive fan of Back to the Future. That is one of my, like, probably, if not, it's probably my all-time favorite film. Like, and I think that they did time better in that than any other film I've seen time used in. And yeah, there was just, for me, I'm very mixed feelings about this one. There was a lot I really enjoyed, but I just can't get past the frustration around the whole timeline thing. So I'm sitting on the fence on it. I'm a 50-50.
Yeah, I certainly. Yeah, I can understand that. I walked out and felt more. I wasn't gushing like some other reviewers, like people giving it 5 stars, 10 out of 10. People calling it a perfect film. I don't think it was perfect by any means. I think, as I said, overall, like that whole, this is a conclusion of what's been a really big investment. I don't, people saying they don't know that there'll never be a film like it again. And I agree, but it's not because of the film itself. I think it's because of the investment people have made getting to the film. It's 22 films, and some of us have seen every single one of those films, and we spent a heck of a lot of time on watching YouTube videos of other people talking about them, looking behind the scenes stuff, going and looking at blog posts, writing up our own fan theories and speculating and wondering what's going on. And then to get here and see the conclusion happen, I think was a big moment. And I think the emotional investment is actually one of 22 films, 11 years worth of investment that comes to a nice conclusion. I actually thought, as far as conclusions go, it was a good conclusion for me. I was really happy with Iron Man and Captain America's storyline. Would have liked a little bit of a better show for some of the other characters, but at the same time, I also know that some of those other characters go on. So as much as I wasn't happy with Thor's story arc, Hulk's or Black Widow's, I kind of also know they've got films to come. So it makes me a little bit happier with it. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'll probably even see it a third time in the theaters. I don't know. So who knows? But look, we really should wrap that up. I think one of the key things to talk about that says about the film is that we were supposed to talk for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and we've gone like an hour and 40 minutes.
Holy crap.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks to the few people who hung in that whole time. That's insane.
Still got people watching.
Still got a few people hung in there for what was a ridiculously long conversation.
Thank you, those people.
Yeah.
They're the true champions here. I've been trying to grab. Yeah. I would have liked. There was only. I think the main one was Charlie talking about the Oh, yeah, Charlie did mention the 5-year jump. I don't understand why in the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, Peter is the same age as all his friends. I
Right.
think they do.
Right? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
Good
really good
I think
point.
that they're going to have to come back to the fact that either his whole class got snapped out of existence for
Yeah,
5
just
years.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Class 11B
But-
got snapped out, but
Yeah.
Class 11A are 5 years older.
Yeah, that's right. Class 11A have graduated. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how they
one
handle
more
it.
little negative thing in there. I was also
Yeah,
annoyed
go.
when Ant-Man turns up 5 years later and none of the streets have been cleaned up. Nothing's been fixed. And, it's like the place is still in devastation. I mean, there's still millions of people
Right.
living in that city.
And there's
Yeah.
no one around, just the paper boy or whatever, the boy on the bike.
Yeah.
That's it. No one else.
I was listening to someone from New York commenting saying, you see in New York and it looks pretty much empty. You could take 50% of the people out and we'll still have millions of people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do get it, but yeah.
Yeah. So that was one little thing. But, it was fun. It was a fun film. I enjoyed some of it.
Yeah, Hugh's upset that the Ant-Man theory of Ant-Man going up Thanos' backside and then turning big didn't happen. Well, we were all upset about that one.
That would have been something to
That would have
see.
been going. Mm.
That's a sequel that's coming out. It's called Ant-Man Crack of Dawn.
Wasn't that what did they start calling it? Thanos or something?
Oh.
Thanos? I think it was Thanos. The Thanos theory.
Oh, jeez.
Oh dear. Anyway, look, thank you to all of you for jumping in. Thanks, Trace. Thanks, Ange,
No worries.
for your comments and your thoughts and being here tonight. Thanks, Paul. I have put links to everyone's YouTube channels and links to social media in the description, so they're all there. And so please go check out their channels. Ange does a lot of, if you are a nerd, Ange does a lot of really incredible sort of, what do you call it? Like, look, you're nerd stuff. You do geeky things. I mean, you've been doing a lot of PSVR stuff, haven't you?
I've been doing too much, I know. Yeah.
But I also like your upgrade, your like the Thanos Rising when you actually take stuff and paint it, and all your miniatures painting stuff is amazing too. I really enjoy that. Tracy, you don't have a YouTube channel, do you? Sorry, if you do, because I haven't put it in there.
She hasn't got time.
No.
You actually have you do this sort of stuff for real in your job, don't you?
I do, yes. And I talk
But
about
yes.
very boring stuff that I'm sure would be of no interest to anyone on YouTube.
I enjoy following you on Twitter because
Thank you.
like seeing all the conferences you talk at and all that sort of stuff. I think it's really like you're really on the edge in that sort of area. But yeah, definitely go check out Paul as well. Business of Art, especially if you're an artist trying to make a living. Paul's got some really cool stuff there. And of course, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Dave Adams. See you then. I was actually hoping to cut over to someone.
You've been
that didn't work
watching
at
Nerds
all.
of Wisdom.
Watching Nerds of Wisdom. Oh my gosh. I was hoping to cut over to someone and I didn't click the thing properly at all. And it just failed. Anyway.
No Infinity Gauntlet
Signing
for
off.
you, my friend.
No, I've just got the rubber duck gauntlet. Anyway, all right. Until next time, bye.